Bush's poll numbers, Newsweek poll, 28%.
No, listen, it's historic. He's almost caught Nixon from behind. I keep emphasizing this. Nixon was at 24 the day he resigned. Not in the beginning of the Watergate mess, not in the middle of the Watergate mess. At the very end of the Watergate mess, he's resigning. He's at 24%. That means that 24% is immovable, right? You could have Satan as the Republican or Democratic president, and that 24% is not going to move for either party. And he's only 4 points away from the eternal 24%. I mean, that's hideous. It's the worst numbers for his administration in the Newsweek poll. He's hit 28% in other polls before. And other presidents have touched on that. No, actually, that's not true. I think only Nixon and maybe his dad at one point
and
touched it.
Jimmy Carter hit 28.
No, my bad. I'm sorry. Jimmy Carter touched it.
His dad, I think, was 29.
The lowest his dad ever got was 29 before he bounced back up. But remember, all those other presidents, except Nixon who resigned, bounced back up. Bush hasn't bounced back up in well over a year. There is no bounce.
Yeah, no, there hasn't. He hasn't bounced. It's been longer than a year. I mean, maybe not at this level, but I mean, the decline has been so slow and so steady. You know, I mean, really, barring a couple of little spikes from the time he sort of went under 50, with a little brief exception after he won again in 2004, which, by the way, was inexplicable. It's been like 48, 46, 44, 42, 38, 38, 38, 38, 38, 35, 35, 35, and just so on, and now we're at 28.
I got to take credit here. I got to do it. I don't want to do it, but me amigo, I got to take the credit here. Because I remember when he got into the 40s, and I found a couple of articles, and I heard on Meet the Press with their stupid roundtable where they got together and they were talking about, quote, the narrative of comeback, right? Bush is in the 40s, but he's going to mount a comeback, and here he comes. He's coming back, right? Mm-hmm. And I wrote an article saying, based on what? I mean, just because you want him to come back, because that makes for a better story? And I'm not even talking about a conservative bias here. I'm just talking about they like to come back. They like that little movie that they've put together, the press did. But I'm like, but you have no basis for it. I said, at the time, I wrote like maybe a year and a half ago, I said, he's the Arizona Cardinals. He's not capable of a comeback. In order to do a comeback, you got to be a good team. You got to have heart. You got to have talent.
Unless you're the Democrats or the Vikings. Then you can come back if you're the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, right. It depends on who you're playing. You're right. I'll give you credit for that. But I said there's not going to be a comeback. He's only going to go further down. And since then, he's never made a comeback.
No, he hasn't made any comeback. All he's done is, plateaued for long periods of time. But there has been no surge. Funny. There's been no surge whatsoever. We just need to give him time for the surge to work, though. I think. And he'll bounce. He'll bounce right back. No, I mean, look, I think it's true. I don't think there was you may have, obviously you did read articles that suggested there would be a comeback. There was no narrative, however, to the press's credit, that's definitely what will happen. And in fact, the good news, I think, is that by and large, as soon as he hit the low 40s, the narrative was the president's got low approval ratings, and they mentioned it all the time. All the time, sort of making it self-fulfilling, which is great. I mean, the fact is, a competent president could still pull himself out of it. If they'd had any success in Iraq, it would have pulled them out of it.
Me amigo, I'll go 50% of the way there with you, Ben. Okay. Yes, at some point, I think about 6 months into the horrible poll numbers, the press got the memo. Oh my God, this guy's got really bad poll numbers. Even though the Republicans keep telling us how much the country loves him. And then they flipped a little bit because the press doesn't want to be unpopular. That's their main thing. They want to be with the people, right? But even at this point,
that's true. But all right.
Oh, it's totally true. It's the TV guys, I should say. All right, the real journalists in the newspapers are a little bit of an exception.
The TV talking guys. I would also exempt the few real television journalists. There are a few, but anyway, not important.
There are a few, smattering, right? Yeah. So, but mainly the TV pundits and the TV so-called reporters were, like, okay, wait a minute, okay, we don't want to lose the whole country. It looks like we're on the, even though we wanted him to have a comeback, it doesn't look like he's having one.
It's like they led the story with the but. Like, his poll, he's at 42%, but
Right. And after a while, you're right. They drop the butt, right? But here's my but. They still don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, at 28%, you're talking about a historically unpopular president. You're talking about somebody. I mean, I was just talking to a friend who, you know, again, my friends.
An eternal friend or a new friend?
I know, an eternal friend.
By the way, is this one of your? Is this a friend? You have a lot of friends who actually went to law school. So was this friend an eternal?
No, he was not an eternal in that sense. In the sense of being an attorney.
Yeah, of being a lawyer. Yeah.
Right. No, and I've talked about this a lot in the past, but my friends from back home in New Jersey, 50% Democrats, 50% Republicans before. Now they're all Democrats because this party jumped off a cliff. You know that whole story. But here's a guy who's, you know, open to ideas and open to voting for Republicans, and he's like, no, you don't get it, man. He's like, everyone here, including himself, hates Bush. We don't, like, I mean, you get a loathing when you look at, like, how is this imbecile our president? Every time you look at him, you're embarrassed. You feel sick to your stomach about this guy. That kind of visceral reaction is what the country's feeling towards Bush. When they see him, they turn him off, and they're embarrassed by him. Now, the press still thinks, well, you know, a little unpopular, no question he's unpopular, but doesn't get the scope of it, the magnitude of it.